Guten Moed, everyone. Chag Sameach. We now concluded the first 2 days of the Yontif, and now we go on to Chol Hamoed, and then the final days. And sometimes it could feel like it's a little anticlimactic, because the first 2 days, everyone goes to the Seder, all Jews go to Seders, everyone knows the Seder, but now the Seder is behind us, and we're just going to finish the holiday. But the truth is, we all know there's a rule that ma'alim ba'kodesh ve'em oridim. When it comes to holy matters, we are always ascending, never descending. So it implies that the last days of Pesach are greater than the first days of Pesach, because the fact that they come after the first days means we've climbed and ascended higher in holiness to reach the climax, the apex of Pesach, which is the last days of Pesach. And where do we see that the last days of Pesach are greater than the first days? We know that the main idea of the first days of Pesach is expressed in the word Pesach. Our rabbis say Pesach is 2 words, Pesach, a mouth that speaks. Pesach, the first 2 days, is about the mitzvah of, in Israel it's 1 day obviously, of communicating to your children the story of the exodus from Egypt, to tell the story. And as we said in the Seder, the more you talk about the exodus from Egypt, the more praiseworthy you are. So it's all about talking, telling the story, as the story of the 5 great rabbis who sat up all night telling the story of the exodus from Egypt. What's the theme of the last days of Pesach? The last day or the last days in Israel, 1 day, for us 2 days. It's the theme of not speaking, but singing. The last day of Pesach, what do? We sing the Az Yashir, the song of the sea. 7 days after the Jews left Egypt, they came to the sea, God split the sea, and they sang the song of Az Yashir that we sing every day in our daily davening. Furthermore, in many synagogues, on the last day of Pesach, they not only do Az Yashir, but also Shir HaShirim, the Song of Songs of King Solomon. So the first days are about talking, the last days are about singing. What's the advantage of singing over speaking? So words are meant to communicate and connect 2 people. But words connect minds, and words connect hearts. But how do you connect souls? That you need a song for. There are certain ideas and feelings that you can't express with words. They're too deep, they're too profound, and they're so deep that words cannot convey them. As we say in the Nishmat prayer on Shabbat, if all of the seas were filled with quill, and all the words would not suffice to express the greatness and our love and gratitude for God. So how do you express feelings that are beyond words? You have a song. That's why a nigun, a melody without words, is even deeper than a melody with words, because they convey such deep feelings that you cannot even express. Words are too limiting to express those ideas. As a matter of fact, Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach once said, when 2 people talk at the same time, no one understands anyone. When 2 people sing at the same time, you have harmony. What harmonizes, what brings people together more than anything else? It's songs. And the last day of Pesach, we sing our song of praise and shir, which is our gratitude and our love for Hashem. There's a famous story about Toscanini, the famous Italian musician, that there's a story told that he was once, there was a great symphony taking place, and it was being broadcasted on the radio. And a reporter wanted to interview him one night, and said to him, "Can I come over to interview you?" And he said, "Tonight I'm listening to this the symphony, this concert. I can't be interviewed tonight." He said, "Look, I'll just want to sit with you while you listen. And I won't disturb you." He said, "Fine, if that's the case, you can come over." He came over to his house, and they listened to the symphony on the radio. He was one of the greatest composers and musicians of the 19th and 20th century. And afterwards, when the concert was over, Toscanini said, that particular piece that they played was supposed to have 15 violinists. It was a huge orchestra. But there was only 14 violinists. I didn't hear one of the violinists playing. And the reporter said, "What are you talking about? From the radio, you could detect how many violinists played that part?" He says, "Yeah, they were missing a violinist there. Something was wrong." The reporter couldn't believe it. He was astonished. The next day, he went to talk to the manager of the concert. He said, "By any chance, did you have all your musicians there that day?" He said, "No, last minute, one of the violinists called in sick and he couldn't come. We had to play the piece with 14 violins." Sometimes we don't realize that every one of us has a note in the ballad of God in this world. Every one of us has our instrument that we have to play. And sometimes we think, if I'm not playing my instrument, maybe no one notices, it doesn't really make a difference. But the master conductor of the world, Hashem, in the symphony that He created, He gave everyone their note to sing and everyone their instrument to play. And if you don't play your instrument, you don't sing your notes that you're meant to sing in this world, maybe others may not notice, but Hashem notices. And that's the idea of Shirat Hayam, that every one of our songs that comes from our heart, from our soul, like the Jewish people as at the song of the sea, every one of us has to sing our part. And when we sing together, and that's what's so beautiful when we come to shul and we sing together, and throughout our Shabbos as in Yontif we sing, we collectively create the beauty, the harmony in this world, and we collectively extol and praise Hashem in a way that every one of us contributes to the music of Hashem in this world, to the music of life.